Hey guys, Jim here. I want to share with you now something I don't really ever do. I don't do friction folders on my channel because I'm not really a fan of friction folders myself typically. I own one, as most collectors at some point do own a friction folder or two. I do own one only because it's special to me. It came from special people, and I like the deployment of it a little bit more than a standard friction folder. It's a Todd Bag mini glimpse friction folder, and I think it's fantastic. But I don't live in an area where I'm restricted to where I can't have a locking knife. And there are some areas of the world where you can't have a knife that locks open. So friction folders have a very important place in the world of knife making. And some guys just like them because they like them, and that's cool. What we're looking at today is the Boker Plus Tuffknives War Toad. And what this is, and this is really a symbol of just how quickly Geoff has made it in this world. He's done collaborations with Tashi, he's done a collaboration with Liang Ma, and now he has his own production knife done by a huge company like Boker. So I'd say, yeah, Geoff has definitely made it. Geoff doesn't really, for whatever reason, say his last name publicly, so I'm going to respect that and not do this and do the same thing here. You guys know Geoff as Tuffthumbz from his YouTube days, and now Tuffknives in his knife making days, and there is his logo. As soon as I can get the camera to focus, there we go. So that is the famous, or now famous, Tuffknives logo opposite the Boker Plus logo. Now that's another thing you typically don't see on my channel is a Boker Plus logo. Done a couple of Boker Plus reviews, not very favorable reviews because they've had issues. The majority of their issues lie in blade centering and in lockup. Well, this is a chisel ground blade, so we don't have to worry about blade centering, and it doesn't have a lock because it's a friction folder. So what could they possibly mess up? Actually, nothing. They did a fan-freaking-tastic job on this knife. What you're looking at here is a stubby little bitch. Overall length is about 5.5 inches, so it's not a very big knife overall. And the blade length is only 2 inches. That's right, 2 inches. Now, look at the thickness of this thing. It's crazy. It's 440C steel. They did a really good job keeping the operation nice and smooth. It's not so tight. And I've handled quite a few friction folders, and some was just to get the damn thing open and closed. And this one is not the case. You can open it if you want by the little hole there. It's not really all that easy. You're typically going to open it by the tang. Now the cool thing about the tang is, and why a lot of people do like friction folders, is you can hold this just in your hand and have a weapon right there with the tang, especially the way that it's been chisel cut down as well. So they've ground that down. It could be used as a scraper, it could be used as a pry tool, and it could be used as a weapon when it's held in the hand. So you've got like a fist pack here to pack your fist, to load your fist, and then you've got that little bit of extra edge here. It's not sharp, but it does come down to a little bit of an edge, and it would certainly do some damage, especially in that corner. So very cool the way they've done that. So they have chosen to chisel grind this like Geoff did on most, or maybe even all of the War Toads. Really, really nice, very pronounced deep hollow grind here, flat grind at the front. Now the thing is, this is the very first knife that Geoff made of his own design. He started being a knife pimper or a knife modifier, whichever term you prefer. And he was a YouTube knife collecting legend. I mean, when it came to the knife community on YouTube, if you didn't subscribe to Tuffthumbz, you weren't cool. You weren't getting all the information. You weren't getting all the entertainment. And that's really where Geoff came from. So he started out by making scales for people's Benchmades and Spydercos and shit like that. Then he evolved into doing some regrind work, and then he started doing some more custom modifications to different knives. And then he realized, you know what, I really enjoy doing this, but I'd rather just make full custom knives of my own. So he decided to start toying with the idea. So, he still had a regular day job, he was still doing the pimping, and he brought in an assistant to kind of help him out to get some of the pimp jobs done, the more basic things, while he focused on doing things like creating the War Toad. And it immediately took off. Everybody friggin' loved it because look at it, it's unique. It's not like anything else in your collection. It's got a really cool feel in the hand, the way it's been designed. You've got a really, really steep harpoon here, which actually gives you a, I don't want to say a thumb ramp because a ramp would go up, but a little recess for your thumb to drop into. And it's a very useful blade shape. Now, it is a small blade, but I mean, this is going to be really, really great. Look at the curvature of that edge. And Boker actually did put a pretty decent edge on this too. You've got a raised back spacer. They did a nice job on that. We can get that to focus. So titanium backside. I almost said lock side. Titanium backside. You got the titanium back spacer. Black G10. And the 440C steel blade chisel ground. These things were like instant hits. And then Geoff evolved a little bit more. Then he started making frame lock folders. And he came out with the Tannic. And everybody, myself included, went apeshit. And then something almost magical happened. You couldn't get his knives. And when somebody did sell one of his knives, they were selling it for tremendously more than they bought it for. You look at the guys like me that were in the golden 20. We didn't even have to pay the full retail of what a Tannic was on those first 20. Those were only offered to friends. And the majority of those golden 20 that sold went for $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 and more. His next knives that came out were still going out for double and triple what he made them for, what he sold them for to the original owner. And then he started doing auctions. Holy shit. People were paying $2,000 and $3,000, over $3,000 for a Tannic. And not even an over crazy Tannic like a full Timascus build or anything, but people started recognizing the quality of his work so early on, the value shot up instantly. Who goes out there with their very first frame lock folder, or frame lock flipper in his case, and can immediately, within the first few that you've made, get double and triple maker's price? It doesn't happen that often. It usually takes years and many different models and a lot of stumbling along the way. Now, things have kind of balanced out a little bit for him. Secondary market prices aren't quite as high. They're still high. And now he's produced what he calls the Switch, another amazing knife. But when you get to something like this, this represents where Geoff came from. And who knows where he's going to take things in the future. He could be the next Todd Rexford. Or he could be the next whomever it is that fell off the face of the earth and stopped making knives for no reason. You never know. But to get your hands on this and to actually say, hey, you know what? It's a pretty damn high quality knife for the money. Actually, yeah, you're going to get quite a bit for it too. Let me show you the packaging. You're going to get the typical Boker Plus magnetic lid box. It's a little bit bigger than usual because they give you more than usual. So the knife, of course, was sitting in this recess. You're going to get your tool there. All of your warranty and whatever information here. How to use your friction folder, I suppose. And then they give you a Velcro belt pouch. And that may be a good way for some people to carry this. Because here's the thing. It's a tip-up carry, which you guys know I strongly prefer on any folding knife. I won't carry tip down. I have one knife in tip down only because it's a very special sentimental piece. And it's so large that it actually works okay for that. But I will not carry tip down. It's just stupid and dangerous. However, tip up being my preference, there's one issue with this. I actually kind of like tip down carry on a friction folder that has such a large tang. It gives me something extra to grab onto, because this is really going to be a back pocket knife for me, not really a primary pocket knife. So that's just a personal preference. I would rather have had this as a tip down carry. But tip up is totally fine. It's going to carry in the pocket easier if you're carrying it in your primary pocket. It's not likely to snag coming up, which would be an issue if you had it in your primary pocket and it was tipped down. This could possibly snag on something, kind of be a pain in the ass. And this could dig, I mean, if you got some, big old love handles hanging over the top of your jeans there, partner, that could probably dig into you a little bit. And that may have been a big consideration. So doing the tip-up carry was probably a smart idea for them to do. It wouldn't really be all that hard to convert it over. It's just, tapping 3 holes. But still, the point is this is how they made it. It's not a reversible clip. This is the only way it's going to be carried. It's very compact. It's a little bit chubby. It's a little bit thick, but it is going to be compact. It's going to be very, very easy to carry and easy to deploy. And everybody's got different methods of deployment. You could do that. You could just simply thumb it over. You could two-hand it if you want, like a 6-shooter, whatever you want to do. This is typically going to be the easiest way to open it. Closing them, I always found, is a little bit tricky for me because as I go to close it, I kind of want to just do this, but as you see, the tang hits into my hand. Again, I'm not a friction folder guy. If I spent a lot of time with them, I'd probably have a lot easier ways to deploy and to close the knife, but that's just my personal issue. I was actually sent this by Jake over at Blade HQ, and that's where I would obviously suggest buying these. Blade HQ really was the first major retailer to give Geoff a break when it came to making these toads. They were out there, and this is what Blade HQ does that's so interesting. When Geoff was making his toads, and when it comes to the world of custom knife makers, he was a nobody. He was an unknown. And Jake and the crew over there at BladeHQ.com took the chance on him and said, you know what? A lot of people follow your channel. A lot of people like you. And I'm sure at some point they said, a lot of people hate you too. Just kidding. A lot of people like you. A lot of people follow you. And we think that when you're able to make enough of these, that they're going to be a big seller. So we want to buy some. So he made some for them. He did the same thing with the Taniks. Now again, at that point, Geoff was still relatively unknown, a nobody. And Blade HQ was ponying up the money to buy all of these Taniks. I don't recall how many they purchased. I want to say it was 20. It could have been more. And they're going out there at premium prices. I mean, we're talking $1,400, $1,500, $1,800 for a frame lock flipper. That for the most part was predominantly just a tie frame lock. Maybe a couple embellishments here and there, obviously all the carving that he was doing and things like that. But I'm saying, no major chunks of Damascus or Moku tie or Damascus blades that would have really hiked up the price to that level. He did make variations like that, and they went for more. But I'm saying that they went out there at a premium price competing against other premium knife makers, and they sold. I don't mean just fucking sold. I mean sold in fucking minutes. To the point where when Blade HQ or Geoff would put up a post, hey, these are about ready to go up on the site, everybody was ready. And you click refresh, refresh, refresh. There they were, refresh again, fuck you, half sold out. And I'm not making that up. And I think the only one that ever sat there for any length of time was probably like an hour. It was the one single lefty in that one order that stands out in my mind. The point is, Geoff, at some point, if he chooses to stick with it and keep doing what he's doing, I personally think he's going to be a legend. I think he's going to be one of those guys that people are going to revere, like maybe we revere Tom Mayo or Todd Rexford or Brad Southard. Now, opinions aside of how you think of Geoff or how you think of those other names that I mentioned, he's got the skill level. We've watched him evolve so greatly over the past couple of years. I've never seen somebody evolve as quickly as he has. And Boker was smart enough to jump on that. And for those who don't think that this is a big deal, you're like, oh, it's just a Boker, it's just an inexpensive knife. Become a knife maker. And see how hard it is to get a big brand like this to recognize you and to honor you by saying, we want to make a production version of your knife. Then, of course, there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through in order to, make that happen. A lot of legal documents and all kinds of other bullshit and basically giving up a portion of your life so that they can do this. It's a big deal. So to Geoff, I want to say congratulations. To Blade HQ, I want to say thank you because you guys have really worked hard to support this industry and to give makers like Geoff a name. And it was honestly, it was truly because of people like companies like Blade HQ that got Geoff's name out there the way they did in order for a brand like Boker to have even recognized him. And that's a big deal. So some quick parting shots here. We'll give you some close-up shots so you can see the details of the knife. Again, you know, it's a friction folder. There's not really a lot to talk about here. It's just a slab of titanium, a slab of G10, and a 440C steel blade in between. I think, to be perfectly honest with you, the fit and finish on this is a little greater than the price that they're charging. And by the way, not going to hit the back side of the blade there. I think they did an amazing job replicating the look and feel. They did change the opening hole here just a little bit. It's a little different than what Geoff originally had. They did a great job on the grind. It looks a lot like a custom knife just by seeing the way that it was ground. This is not your standard off-the-shelf kind of production knife. So good on you, Boker. You did a damn good job. And that's pretty much it for me. I just want to make sure people got a chance to see this. See realistically how it fits in the hand, how it feels. And, you know, the idea behind a friction folder is that once you've got it open, the tang up against the back of your hand acts as a lock. And that's pretty much how that works for somebody that's never had a friction folder experience. That's the basic idea. So there you have it, guys. Nice and clean all the way through. As I mentioned, a really nice smooth action that I was not expecting. I've handled a few friction folders that you just had to crank down to get those fuckers open and closed. This one just works great. And that's it for me, guys. If you're looking to get one of these bad boys, just go over to bladehq.com and search for War Toad, and it will pull it right up for you. And I'm going to end it with that, and I will see you guys on the next video.